I want to address again the kickoff return rule change in the NFL. We touched on it a few weeks ago with Dan Brown, and Mick McKenzie was on from Sam Boners. Jack was on, and it was a lot of things just pouring out why Jan and I are just kind of unpacking the new kickoff return rule. So what the kickoff return rule is this. Teams that kick off, if the kickoff return team fair catches, they get the ball on the 25-yard line. It's a rule in college football if you're used to it. So there's a lot to unpack here. How will the coaches react? The coaches react a few different ways, but the main way they're going to be reacting now is they don't want to lose the game or make a major mistake to put a team in a spot where they're getting the ball returned out to the 30, 40-yard line, right? That was always the issue before. They want the kicker to put the ball on the 1 or 2 yard line, so the returners had a decision to make. Does he bring it out? Does he let it go? Well, now that decision's kind of taken out. If it's got a ton of hang time, they'll fair catch it. If it's a straight line, they'll receive the ball, and you got to cover down. So that's how the coaches react. They're going to worry about how not to beat themselves. Is it good for the NFL? Yes. It's a cleaner product. The perception is there's less contact, less head injuries. And really, if you think about it this way, it's a quicker way you get your franchise quarterbacks on the field. There'll be more marketing and all that stuff when kickoff teams out there, because the ball, vast majority of the time, is going to be fair caught or kicked out the back of the end zone. So they'll pop in a little 30-second commercial as Aaron Rodgers walking on the field to the 25-yard line, almost like it's a routine thing. So it's going to look a lot more routine, a lot more quicker. Is it good for the players? It's good for some of the players. Lots to unpack here, but the return specialists, they're going to be gone. There's some on punt that they will stay, and they'll be mainstays. Your, fifth wide receiver, that's a really good punt return guy. Your third or fourth running back, that's a good punt return player. Maybe a defensive back that can return punts as well. They'll stay on the team. But your specialist that just returns kicks, I think they'll be dying on the vine, sadly. Physical fullbacks, physical tight ends, their main special teams unit is kickoff because they don't run down on kickoff return because they don't run down amazing on kickoff. Punt, they're not natural tacklers because they're fullbacks and tight ends. They don't tackle every day. Linebackers do. Defensive linemen do. Big safeties do. So I would see more teams being built like that, or they're just going to plug and play an extra running back. You could even see maybe an offensive lineman on kickoff return because at the end of the day, they're not going to be returned. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic. So it's going to hurt different groups of players. And then something to watch is special teams coaches just saying, screw it in the preseason and talking to each other before the game and saying, we need to evaluate how these kids are going to cover kicks that are rookies or second year or third year players. That's the bottom line of the preseason. If you watch preseason football, there's a lot of special teams play because they're trying to get tape and they're trying to give guys tape. So if they don't make this team X, other teams can evaluate them, team Y, and sign them. So there's a lot there that we just went through. But the bottom line is there's going to be a little bit of a shift change in the NFL. It's not going to be dramatic for the fans. They're probably not even going to notice it. But from a player's perspective, you're going to see some special teams coaches going through things a little bit in the preseason and kicking the ball and trying new ways that the kickers can get involved in the game because it devalues the kicking position too. You may see a punter just bang it through the uprights now, and you may see your kicker just be kicking extra points and field goals. You'll see some of that in the league, right? It affects different positions and how the rosters are built. So again, that's the preseason with the coaches. And then in the regular season, different coaches have different philosophies, head coaches, and they most of the time say, hey, what do you think, special teams coach? What do you like to do? And they say, go ahead. And usually special teams coaches want to be aggressive and go after it, pop a ball up, make the kickoff team go down there and set the tone. Well, that's gone now. Or it's going to be encouraged to be gone. They're going to be encouraging fair catches, right? It's going to be advantageous to get the ball on the 25-yard line every time and start your drive. Your scoring percentage goes up drastically. So look to early on some aggressive special teams play, maybe some squib kicks, maybe some things to keep the ball in play so you can't fair catch it. I look to see a squib kick that's going to settle around the 5-yard line. So the returner's got to make a decision here whether to bring the ball out. And the ball's been skipping on the ground, so there's a lot of air time there. So that all works until a run gets popped and a kickoff return guy, breaks it to the 40. and then it's over, right? Then the rest of the year or the majority of the year, they're popping fair catches or they're kicking the ball deep. So a lot I just went through there. It's good for the NFL. Yes. It's going to hurt some players. Yes. Coaches are going to all react differently to it. It's going to be a really fun thing to track this year, in my opinion, on how it's all going to go down, the intricacies of it, not just like, oh, yeah, I'm watching the football on Sunday and here's another touchback. I think it has more effect on that on different rosters, especially the back end of the rosters. How does it affect player 46 to 53? And I am one of those people. I was one of those people. I'm trying to be one of those people. So that's really a long-winded way of me saying that I think this rule has a little bit more impact than people think. So, Jack, I just went through a lot there. What was something that is on your mind, or something that I said that triggered a thought for you?
I think that the NFL is essentially trying to ease their way out of special teams in general. I think they're testing the waters there. I don't think that comes as a shock to anybody. Just from multiple standpoints, it's generally perceived that special teams is the most dangerous aspect of football that can be avoided. Not anybody disagrees or disagrees that. Many people have different viewpoints on that, but that's kind of the general conception amongst casual fans. And most casual fans do not care about this. They see it as just a regularity. Like, extra points are going to go in. Like the kickoff's always going to be fair caught or tackled within the 20 or 25. The punt return's always going to be fair caught. So they don't really care about those plays. They see it as really almost an extended commercial. Now, granted, that's not the case for me. Other big NFL fans, they like those. But for 85% of their audience, they do not care about special teams. So they're just trying to listen. If we can get rid of that, we could just kind of expand viewer retention, make the sport safer, allow for some more commercial time. That's probably where it's going. It's not the right decision for the sport, in my opinion, but money is the end all be all. And that kind of just seems where everything is going, in my opinion. I don't think it'll be this year, 5 years, but 10, 15 years, I think it could be the case.
It's really going to be interesting how it's going to affect punt and punt return. And everyone just thinks, oh, it's just a normalcy in football here. But some of your best overall football players, like pure football players, are on those punt teams. Like your draft picks that are linebackers, they're on punt. Like, even though they may be a second round pick, that's a big deal. Teams that win Super Bowls, Kansas City Chiefs, Coach Tobe, they have great special teams units. They have great special teams players. Some guys are just purely special teams players and depth defensive players. So I think it's going to hurt those guys. I think you're going to take more reaches on players, late round picks that may not play on special teams at all, but they're freaks of nature that can go in on third down and go rush a passer, even though before that fourth the end, they have to play on special teams because there's only 46 players that are active on game day that are dressed, ready to play. Everyone, the other group of the 53 man, is wearing hats and t-shirts like Jack and I are right now. And I've been that guy. I've been inactive. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that too. Just the value of maybe taking a player late round that is going to be a really good special teams linebacker, like a Tyler Medikevich, who was a 7th round pick for the Steelers and has led the NFL in special teams tackles over the years. He got paid. He took advantage of why he could, but they're going to stop paying those guys because they don't have. There's a half of the special teams are gone, so it has major impact. I know we're hit on this, and the fans are like, "What do you mean?" But from a player's perspective, like, it affects a lot of players, and you're going to see less players, less fullbacks, less linebackers, less reach type things, tight ends that are physical. They may keep a receiving tight end on the roster now because, hey, he's a project kid. He doesn't need to go out there and block anybody on kickoff return or run down on kickoff anymore. And on punt, he's not going to play. We have our 4 linebackers that are on punt. So I know there's a lot that I digress there, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to get to Craig here in a little bit, but some interesting stuff.